Hey guys, welcome to Sight Lap for on number 6 at Redbud. I'm your host, Brent Bowser. We're here joined with Jeff Beaver, who unfortunately is not going to be at the race this weekend. I don't know why you would skip out on this one, but work is
I
not
gotta go to the
important.
mine.
That's not important. And then we're also here with Billy Laninovich. What's going on, Billy? How are you, man?
I'm doing good. Had a long day at the track today. Just got home maybe 40 minutes ago and on here with you guys. I'm excited.
So you're still out there just grinding, man. Supercross season's over. You thought you'd be hanging out, but no, you're still out there.
I got to make money. I got to coach the boys.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And I just
definitely.
started riding again. I got on the bike a couple weeks ago. Been riding like twice a week. So trying to get my butt back in shape.
I mean, you did Supercross. You want to go do an outdoor?
No. If I had stayed healthy and was able to ride and train through the whole season, maybe do Fox or Hangtown or both of them.
Yeah.
But after breaking my rib, I was off the bike for 2 months and I lost all my fitness. I tried to go back to Colorado with a few days of riding and it was so ugly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so no, Southwick would have been a bust, huh?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that track is gnarly.
Yeah, it gets harder. It gets harder when we get older.
It is.
I want to, before we get started, obviously we'll talk about the news that just dropped. But before we get started, I want to give a shout out to the sponsors. UR Water. If you're at Redbud this weekend and you need some pH balanced water, check out UR Water. Factory Connection. I mean, Billy won his main on a factory connection to Amsoil Honda, so it's good. It was good back then, and it's good now. Baja Designs, Rocket Turf, Maxxis Tires, and Speed Strap. So the news just broke probably a couple hours ago that Jett Lawrence is out for the remainder of the season with a thumb injury, UCL. This might be the first time I've heard of this many thumb injuries in this year. You have Tomac, Webb, Lawrence, someone overseas too, but yeah, interesting where, yeah, Jett's out, man. And this really opens up the series. I just want to get your thoughts on your first impressions when you heard that Jett's out.
Yeah, it's crazy. For him to have the injuries that he had, like a hole in his leg and his shoulder, and still be able to go out there and win, or if not second or third, easy, it's just mind blowing. The kid is so good, so talented. His technique is just perfect, so smooth, and yeah, it's a bummer that he's out.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought it was a new case of Yama thumb, but then Jett just blew that theory out of the water.
Yeah, it's like one year it's Epstein Barr, and then one year it's thumb injuries. It's always something. But yeah, that's a bummer. Obviously Jett was struggling with that shoulder injury, so you wonder if that, if he was compensating one way or the other. You think that maybe, because I guess the practice crash was on Tuesday. So I mean, he's been compensating for that with that shoulder injury, and his legs get tired. Do you think that could be a contributing factor for having a get off, or you think maybe just it is what
Yeah,
it is,
absolutely. Like if you're babying that thing and you got more weight to one side or something, just those guys are going so fast that one little mistake and you're on the ground.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, as doing this for your career, you're riding hurt probably 80-90% of the time.
Yeah.
All the riders out there are always riding hurt. So, but yeah, it's very unfortunate that he got hurt because he had it in the bag, no problem.
Yeah, I mean,
what's gnarly to me, sorry, Brent, what's gnarly to me is that a hole in his thigh, a shoulder that just wouldn't heal, and he was still winning overalls. I mean, it's just
Crazy,
ridiculous. Right? And he's going to come back so hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that he saw what he did with that hurt shoulder with a hole in his leg, and he was still winning overalls. Yeah, he got beat in some motos, but I mean, he still was scoring more points than everybody else. And he dug his way out of that 24-point deficit where he's only 3 points down. So, he was hoping to just get through this shoulder injury and finish out the year strong. They mentioned he's planning to be back for the first round of SMX September 7th. So, I've had a broken thumb, but I've never had a ligament injury in my thumb. I'm not sure, Billy, if you have, but those thumb injuries really affect your grip, and they take longer, especially ligament damage, take longer to heal than like a broken bone. So,
oh, absolutely.
I can imagine him probably dealing with this for a little while after, he gets back on the bike.
Yeah. And I think it's really smart that he's taking it off and and getting it fixed. You don't want that injury to linger for the rest of your career. Go out there and yeah, there's stuff that you can take to help the pain and stuff, but you're just doing more damage, right?
Yeah.
And so hopefully he can get this thing healed up 100% and have no more problems with it.
Yeah, and the one thing about guys like professional motocross racers, especially Jett, those guys have the best in the world at their disposal. Red Bull, I mean, they're going to have the best doctors, best therapists. They're going to throw everything, including the kitchen sink at that thumb injury and his shoulder, and get him back to his winning ways.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree. And I was curious if, they didn't say anything, but I was also curious if, his shoulder needed any work. They didn't mention that in the press release. So, but yeah, bummer Jett is out of this season. But man, we do have a battle between Chase and Hunter. I mean, Hunter's got a 3-point lead over Chase. I'm curious the mindsets of those guys now, knowing that Jett's out, and some other guys have snuck in here and there, but not really. Those two now have separated themselves from the class. Do you think anybody feels more pressure? Do you think Jett or Hunter feels more pressure, or Chase? Do you feel like Chase is comfortable? Like, what do you think the mindset of these guys are?
I'm excited to see what Chase does now.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you it's going to totally change his mind. Confidence is going to come back, and I wouldn't be surprised if he starts clicking off some wins. But Hunter, he's been riding that 450 good.
Yeah, he has, definitely.
Yeah, he's riding really good. He's going to be hard to beat, but when Chase is on, that kid's fast too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm really interested. I wonder how the dynamic will change without having Jett there at the races for Hunter. I mean, they're so used to seeing each other and they have a routine and everything. So Jett being out is going to break up part of Hunter's routine, part of kind of bouncing stuff off lines, what they saw, stuff like that inside the truck in between motos after, practice and stuff like that. There's a big dynamic that Hunter's going to lose. I think he can win races without it. And Chase is going to do what Chase does. He's a bulldog. He's hungry. He's going to go for it. And before any of the keyboard warriors out there saying, "Oh, he only wins a title when the leader's out," Jett was not the leader this one.
Mm-hmm.
Hunter's the leader. Jett was tied with him, so this one doesn't count. So keep that hate in your pocket, buddy.
Yeah, hey, you take it how you get it.
I mean, honestly, that's racing. The check at the end of the year will still cash, and you'll still have that championship to your name. So, I mean, to be honest, if I was in any of those riders' shoes and I won the championship, regardless who was there, I'm taking it. So
yep,
wiping those haters' tears with a wad of $100 bills.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you don't want to see people get hurt, but sometimes you breathe a sigh of fresh air when you think one of the top guys are out. And you're like, man, because I mean, Jett was wounded and he was still up there, and you're just waiting for him to get back to full strength and see what he can do. So, but yeah, unfortunate. And then if you look at the points, Jay Coop is in 37 points back, and AP's 51 points back. So I really feel like maybe those guys can get in there and challenge for podiums and stuff. But I feel like with the points the way they are, it's really a Hunter and Chase show for the rest of the summer.
Yeah. You never know. Something can happen, bike malfunction, but you watch Chase. It's such a mental game. And when you get beat that many times by a rider, you lose your confidence.
Mm-hmm.
I think Chase is getting his bike figured out. He has been riding a lot better, kind of like the Chase it normally is.
Mm-hmm.
But you watch him. I bet you that confidence is going to build back up, and he's going to start clicking off some wins.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that, dude. And I wouldn't, hope is a big thing. You know what I mean? If you have no hope, it's going to just destroy any thought of winning, right? But now AP and
right. JQ,
those guys, they all have it in their mind that Jett's gone, and there's mere mortals in the class now, and they've got a shot. Jay Coop is probably like, and he's crafty as hell, dude.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he clicked off a win this season.
I think he will. Yeah, he's been riding really, really good, and he's a good starter.
He is, yeah.
Yep.
And we saw what he did at Thunder Valley, where he led both motos to almost the very end, and he said he just needs 5 more minutes. But you're right. You think about it, it opens up the door. It's kind of similar to 07 when Stewart went out and Gio ended up winning the championship. But there's the points gap wasn't as far away as it is now, but like Billy, like you said, bike problems, injuries, wrecks, those points, especially with 2 points pay motos per weekend, those points can get swallowed up pretty quick.
Yeah, anything can happen, man. Motocross is so gnarly, and those guys are riding on the edge. Obviously, they're comfortable.
Yeah.
They ride like every day, right? It's not like your average guy going out and riding that pace.
Yeah.
But the mistakes, one little mistake and you're on the ground, and you just never know. But Hunter and Chase, they're smooth riders.
They are, yeah.
Very smooth, and they minimize those mistakes. And that's what it takes.
Yeah, and I wonder if I wonder if their mindset will change and if they'll start going into quote unquote championship mode, knowing that they got a points gap on everyone else. And if they get, let's say they're having a bad moto and Jay Cooper AP passes them, if they're not going to be too worried about it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously those guys want to win no matter what, but that's where the maturity comes in. Those guys are smart. If they're having an off day, off moto, those guys will back it down a little bit and just finish and get as much points as they can.
Yeah, definitely. And let's talk.
What did you? Oh, hold on. What did you think of that ride that Chase had in the second moto at Hangtown?
Oh, it was insane. Insane. So I think that's where it kind of clicked. He knew Jett went down, got hurt a little bit, and then crashes in the second turn and comes all the way back to win. Like, that's the Chase that we know, right? So I think we're going to see more of that.
Yeah, and the last thing I want to mention on Chase, if you really look at it, he's been better in the second motos this year. And I don't know if it's, he rides the track first moto, figures out what he needs to change on the bike, and then he makes some changes, and then he kind of hangs around the first 5-10 minutes of the race, second moto, but then it's like he gets in another gear. I don't know if he like filling off the bike first 4 or 5 laps, and then he's like, okay, the changes were good, and then he goes for it. So it's been interesting. If you look at his second motos, they've been better than his first motos. Like first moto at Southwick, third, but he kind of got dropped a little bit, and then second moto we all saw what he did, right? So it was so curious to see if that's something that's kind of he's working on the bike in between motos.
Yeah, I mean, that just shows how good his fitness is, right? But some guys are different. Like some guys have really good first motos and then not so good second motos. I was always kind of like that for some reason. Some guys struggle the first moto and they're really good the second moto,
Yeah. I think most people probably fall into the category of first moto is always better because you're fresher. But yeah, the really fit guys definitely showing that second moto. But
it shows the guys that can ride a rough track too, right?
Yeah,
I always struggled with really rough tracks, and first moto is usually a lot smoother.
Yeah.
And then you get out in that second moto and the track's totally different and it's rough. It's rough and it's hot.
Well, let's talk about the track a little bit. So we're going to Red Bud, which I think is probably one of the most famous stops on the circuit. One of everyone's favorite tracks. It's obviously on 4th of July weekend. The vibe around there is insane. You're going to see, chainsaws, bell. I mean, it's going to be loud, right? So if you look at the weather, actually, it shows Friday has a 77 or a 70% chance of rain. It's going to be 82 degrees. So it's going to be humid and kind of muggy. So I don't know how much rain we're going to get. And then Saturday is going to cool off a little bit with only a 40% chance of rain, but it's in the morning. So I feel like if they get a little bit rain, that track soil can handle a little bit of water. So I think it would actually be pretty good if it, even if it rained.
Yeah, if they get a little bit of rain, yeah. I mean, that track has 4 different types of dirt, maybe more.
Yeah.
They got a lot of sand, hard pack, clay. So that track can definitely hold the rain, but it's going to make it that much rougher too.
Yeah.
Yeah, that track.
What's the run up to, I'm sorry, Billy, but what's the run up to Larocco's Leap like? Is that sandy or is it clay? What is it, loamy?
What was it back in the day? It's a little bit softer. It's not sandy, no.
Yeah.
No, maybe a little bit softer. I don't think it's sand. Yeah, that's a scary jump.
Did you ever come up short on that?
450. No, thankfully.
Yeah.
Most of the time I rode 450 there, I think in 2008. But the rest of them, I believe, were on 250s. And I don't think very many guys were jumping on the 250s. Maybe a few.
Yeah.
Did you ever clear it on a 250F?
I don't remember. My mind's so bad. I'm pretty sure because I remember jumping it all the time.
Yeah.
What about the
hitting it.
125? Did you get it on the 125?
I don't think so.
Dude, that'd been gnarly.
That was in Stu territory.
Dude,
Yes, Stu
Yeah.
was gnarly.
yeah.
That guy was on a whole different level.
I think the first time he did it, he actually came off the track. I remember seeing like a picture or video where he was trying to fill it out on that 125 and he came from off the track and jumped it. And that's that picture where he's like kissing the front fender, right? So
Mhm.
yeah, it's pretty
Yeehaw
wild.
photo.
Yeah. And it's always different. So I was actually wrote that as a note. I'm curious to see how they set up this section before the leap because sometimes they put that inside outside line. Sometimes it's really tight S turn. It just depends on how they set it up before that gives the guys an opportunity on the 250 class to jump it. So that's always something to keep an eye out. But Billy, when you jump it and the guy doesn't jump it, it is a time difference, but is it that big of a time difference or is it just more energy or is it like, just talk about jumping it or not jumping it?
No, it's definitely faster. It'd probably be, I don't know, maybe a second,
Okay. Yeah.
a second and a half. But some of those guys, they scrub it, doubling it.
Yeah.
They really low, and the guy that jumps it doesn't really pull them that much.
Yeah.
But it definitely saves energy. That's your resting spot. That
Yeah.
jump being so big, letting all that air out and getting to relax a little bit, relax your hands.
Yeah.
But you come towards the second moto, the end of second moto, and that's rough going up it. It's no joke.
Well,
Those bumps are big, and you're trying to get the best drive that you can.
Yeah, and you think about the guys in the if they have an inside out, inside they're probably have a little bit of braking bumps from slowing down.
Mhm.
And then, like you said, if those guys are going inside to roll it and you're going outside to jump it, and they can scrub and then hit the landing and land on the outside and cut in, you're not getting so much time, but like you said, you get a little bit of break, let your hands rest, get a tear off, whatever you need. So,
Yep.
So yeah, it'll be fun to watch.
That's
it just
an
helps the
interesting
flow
take.
of the track,
Yeah.
right? That's
Yeah.
that's the whole purpose of finding a good flow.
Mhm.
And when you're not jumping it, you're doubling it, and then you're jumping out, landing
Yeah.
super hard. It just
Yeah.
kind of messes up your flow.
Yep.
That's an interesting take that you have about when you're in the air, letting the air out, relaxing, loosening up your hands. If I ever hit a jump that big, the last thing I'm doing is loosening up my hands or letting the air out of my lungs. I'm going to be gasping for dear life because it's probably going to be the last breath I ever take.
Yeah, that's our
Yeah.
relaxing spots over the
Yeah.
triples, over the big jumps.
Mhm.
Let your hands loose off the bars a little bit so you're not gripping the whole time. And
Yeah.
yep, that's
Complete-
our chill out spot.
Complete opposite than Southwick. There's really no chill out spot at Southwick. You're not getting a
No.
breath. You're not getting a breath anywhere. Yeah. And talk about Redbud. When you race there, Billy, was that one of your favorite tracks? And what, if anything, what was hard to get a feel there? Was it because the dirt's different, so many different types of soil and setting up your bike, or was it something that you always just felt comfortable on? I feel like everybody likes the track, but talk about riding and racing Redbud.
Man, that track is fun. I didn't like it the best. It's really high speed. It's really rough. I always struggled with rough tracks when I was younger. There's a bunch of different types of dirt. It's a little bit softer. You got sand. I'm from California, so I'm used to Hangtown,
Yeah.
riding really hard packed tracks. So getting back east a little bit, I struggled. I wasn't really, really comfortable, but I think I got some okay results, maybe some top 10s there.
Yeah.
Which national track was your favorite when you were back racing?
I think I liked Washougal. Yeah,
I mean,
Washougal was a really fun track. It was hard.
Yeah,
really
yeah.
hard pack, slick.
Yep.
But that suited my style more. And Hangtown. I like Hangtown.
Mhm.
All right, man. You need to work out for the next couple of weeks and meet me in Washington, dude. I'll be your mechanic.
Yeah.
I'll
Race
take
it
a
on a
day off.
two-stroke.
Let's do it. Yeah, do it. Come out on a two-stroke.
We're gonna do a KTM 125 retro look,
Hey, I got the 22 250 SX. It's built, dude. It's got moto suspension. Let's go. I'll get some graphics. Let's go.
I'd have one lap in me and I'd be done.
It'd still be rad.
Hey, as long as you put that in the qualifying session, it's fine. You can just hang out in the motos, So
Right? Just cruise around.
yeah.
Yep.
Just throw big ass whips.
Yep.
They got some good ones too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool though. So yeah, looking forward to Redbud. I mean, again, it's always I look forward to this race every year. The track's awesome. The racing is usually pretty good. And then we'll talk about the 250 class a little bit. Can anybody stop the Deegan train he's won 4 of the 5 overalls. He got second in the Moto 2 last weekend at Southwick. He had that where he tucked the front and lost some positions, but I feel like once he got into second place last weekend, he knew he won the overall, so he kind of just hung out there. But yeah, man, can anybody stop the Deegan train? He's almost got a full race weekend lead on the guys second and third in the points.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. Deegan, he's riding so good.
Yeah.
His speed is insane. His roll speed, his corner speed, it's just everything. He attacks the track so hard. The kid's driven and he wants it, and it shows. If he doesn't fall, I don't think those guys are going to touch him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's his championship to lose, dude. The only person who's going to beat Hayden is Hayden.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree. And if you look at the points, he's got a 42-point lead over Chance Hymas, who's in second, and he's got a 43-point lead over Tom Dial, that's in third. So again, he's got some room to work with. And with 6 races left, including this weekend, yeah, he'd have to have something catastrophic happen or get an injury or something. But he's been solid, and we've seen him come from the back and win from the front. So yeah, we've seen speed from the other guys, but yeah, man, I don't know what you can do to beat him, and I think it's just really his championship to lose.
Yeah, the kid is insane. So many people talk crap about him. Oh, he had everything handed to him.
Yeah.
Look, 99% of kids that have stuff handed to them, they don't ever do nothing. They don't have the drive and determination.
Exactly.
And that kid wants it.
Yeah.
The kid has to want it more than the parents, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So,
yeah, you can have millions of dollars and it doesn't matter, right? Like you still have to have the skill and the work ethic and all that.
Yep.
Yeah, he works harder than an ugly stripper, dude.
That's my favorite quote that you say, Jeff.
Yep. They gotta work hard and make their money.
Yeah. So then you think about, I really want to talk about, Ty Masterpool. He won High Point, and he's always been solid at Redbud. He had an okay Southwick. He was outside the top 5, but he was in, 7-6 moto scores. But Ty has always been good at Redbud. We've seen it on Star Yamaha, on some of the other teams he's raced for. And now that he's on Pro Circuit, you guys expect Ty to be close to the podium up front this weekend?
Absolutely, dude. I'm so stoked for Ty.
Yeah.
He deserves this ride, and for him to go out and get Mitch his 300th win, I think, dude, such a good family. I got to spend some time. Unfortunately, that's where I was at his facility when I broke my rib. But they have an awesome facility out there, and yeah, I was so excited for him.
Yeah, his parents
absolutely.
Yeah,
his parents are really nice. I actually got a chance to talk to his mom at the hotel after the race up in Pittsburgh, and just sweetest lady, super. I said, "Is Ty passed out? Is he tired?" In the back of the van, she goes, "He ain't gonna sleep for a week. He's just grinning from ear to ear."
Yeah,
so,
definitely. Yeah,
I think maybe the Wick wasn't his best track. Who knows? But I think he'll dust it off and come back.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think even with his results at Southwick, he's been inside the top 10 pretty much every moto that he hasn't had at like a record. I think most motos he's been inside the top 10. He's been outside maybe once or twice with a crash or something, but he's been solid again for having one day on the bike before the first round at Paula, jumping back down to a 250 from a 450. I mean, that's a big, even though you're on a factory bike, it's not, you don't just jump on that thing and immediately just go fast.
No, not at all. And that's what's impressive. He's been on a 450 for how long?
Yeah.
And then jumps on a 250. He gets one day?
Yeah.
And gotta go race.
Yeah.
And
imagine what he's going to be like after he gets his break from Washougal to Unadilla.
Yep. He's just getting more time, getting more comfortable on that bike, and I think he'll be up there hunting for some more wins.
Yeah, I agree. And I like how Ty's humble. Actually sat next to his mom at Nashville Supercross. He ended up going down to the LCQ, but I chatted with her for a little bit. But yeah, super cool family. And yeah, Ty's humble, and I think he's deserving of this ride. And it was awesome to see. We know how good he is outdoors, and it was cool to see him get that win and 300th win for Pro Circuit. So yeah, curious to see how he does this weekend. We'll be looking for that whole shot where he points to the sky. Remember that he did that first year on Star. That was sick. So if he can replicate that, that'd be a cool photo for someone to grab. And Jeff, too bad you weren't there to get it.
Quit rubbing it in, bro. I've got some issues right now. All right.
Good job, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm gonna be out at Kahia with Nate, and you just keep making it worse and worse every time you bring it up.
Well, I was hoping we were gonna get the shot, but
I'm gonna stuff Nate on the mini bike just out of anger.
Yeah, also, so you talk about the 250 class. I think we all know, Hayden's a class to field. We'll see what Masterpool does. Yeah, Kitchen's kind of fallen off. I don't know. He had an okay Paula, and Hangtown was okay, but then it's just been kind of up. Really, he's got a good start second moto last week and went down, but he's kind of had a rough go of it as so far.
Yeah, Kitchen's better than that. I'm kind of thinking that he had a practice crash or something, and he's not telling people, and maybe he's riding injured.
Yeah,
because that's not Kitchen out there riding at his full potential.
Yeah, because he started out the motos ripping. What was that? The first or second moto? I forget what one it was at Southwick. He came out ripping, and I'm like, oh, look who decided to show up, and then he threw the anchor outside. I think I said something a couple of shows ago that I think, maybe it's a mix of mental and he had a get off or something. Maybe he had to get off because it was mental. I don't know, but something's just not right over there in the kitchen.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And how often, Billy, you guys have these, when you were back then racing and you have these get offs during the week, and maybe you're not like nothing's broken, but you're bruised and battered, but you go on the weekend and you just don't have your best stuff, that you just don't say anything, you just do your job, but it clearly shows on the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone's so secretive.
Yeah.
They don't want people to know their weaknesses and stuff like that. So there's definitely something that's going on with Kitchen. Yeah.
Makes sense. And then Chance Hymas, man, he's been really solid this summer. I feel like we all thought that Chance can do this, but he's had a lot of injuries, knees, the whole thing, and he's riding with that torn ACL in his knee still, and I think they're going to keep it that way. But man, he's been impressive this summer, and he's second in the points, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him, get a win or two by the end of the season as well.
Absolutely, Chance has been riding so good. I think he just came off that ACL surgery before Supercross, and for him to come back as strong as he is, and man, his speed is there. Like when first couple motos he's running up front, I was really impressed.
Yeah,
and he's a good kid too. I like to see him up front.
Yeah, standing there watching him get that moto win at Thunder Valley, man. I mean, there was no cockiness, no nothing in there. I mean, he broke down with his pops, dude. It was just to see him and to see what's his name get their win at High Point. Yeah, Masterpool. Sorry, I'm brain dead, but just seeing those guys do their thing has just been phenomenal.
Yeah.
It's cool to see that kind of stuff.
It is.
It is. And these guys put in so much work that your average person has no idea what they're going through during the week.
Yeah.
And for it to come off an injury or some bad races or a bad year or bad years of racing, and then be able to go do that is very emotional and feels good. And it's a huge confidence builder for those guys.
Yeah, and you know how it usually happens, right? I mean, I feel like Chance is in a good spot at Honda, where they weren't going to chew him up and spit him out. But we've seen it, right? You have an amateur comes in, gets this ride, has 2 bad years, and then they spit him out, and that's all she wrote. So it's cool to see Chance coming around, and again, he's super humble. It seems like just a super cool kid, and happy to see his results this summer. And and to be honest, if you look at HRC picked up Joe Shimoda to kind of fill the gap between Jett and Hunter leaving the class, and Chance has, he's beating him in the points and has had better results. So Honda's got to be pretty happy with Chance. I'm sure Joe still get used to the bike and all that, but it's been impressive so far. Yeah,
Joe will start picking it up again. He did really good this weekend, and I think that'll be a big confidence booster. When you put in all that work and the results aren't where you want them to be, it's hard. It is tough. Like, it's so many ups and downs in this sport, and just little injuries that you're coming back from. But watch Shimoda. I think he's going to start clicking off some wins.
My only worry for Shimoda is he's now got a pretty distinct pattern of juniors attacking Billy We're gonna
He's
lose him
getting
to
crazy.
Killer. The
it's-
boss is getting nuts.
It's all good.
My worry about Shimoda is he's established a pattern of being a very slow starter.
Yep.
And how long are the team has so much say, Lars has so much say, but how long before somebody up the ladder at corporate just says, hey, dude, I'm cutting the check and I'm not getting my championship, find somebody else? And that's what I worry about for him.
A lot in this sport is, I believe, potential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they're showing that potential,
They'll
I
keep
believe
him
you're going
around.
to continue. Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what they always say, like the best way to make a living in this sport is to win the 250 class and get hurt. Because you'll keep, I mean, think about like RJ, I mean, Jordan Smith, I mean, all these guys that have been around a long time, they're super fast, but they've gotten hurt a lot, but they always seem to up these deals and they're getting paid pretty well, right? To where
very well.
It's maybe, I mean, obviously it's not what they want, but maybe it's not such a bad plan. But yeah, like, and Mitch always said that they can work with speed, and now Joe, he wins motos. Yeah, he has some bad motos and he starts off slow, but he has that potential, and maybe he'll put it together. But yeah, it's not a bad spot to be in, but again, I'm sure he wants to be in a better spot, but I don't think he'd have to worry about a ride, especially if he wins motos and stuff like that.
Yeah, he's got no problem. And that's a tough thing for a racer, is being quick off the start.
Yeah.
That's hard. And it's not something that you really teach. You got to warm up really good, get your blood flowing. I was always a slow starter. And by halfway to the end of the race, I was always gaining speed. But it's just working on those sprints, trying to get your fastest lap, your first couple laps, and working on just relaxing and breathing at the beginning of the moto. As soon as you tighten up, you're done and you can't attack anymore, right? So a lot of it, and two, these guys might be dealing with arm pump.
Yeah.
It's hard. You can't ride to your full potential with arm pump.
No.
You can't even barely hold on to the bike, and these guys are just wide open,
Yeah.
So it could be anything. But yeah, Shimoda, he doesn't have a problem for a job.
Yeah, and you mentioned that first lap
That's
speed.
good.
The first lap speed, did you notice, it was Supercross, so it's not outdoors, but compared to when you were racing, back 10, 15 years ago, is that first lap speed, has it gone to another level, or is it something that you remember it's always been that way, where you're just
No, it's always been that way. Yeah. I don't think the guys are all that much faster than what when I was racing. The bikes are better.
Yeah.
Bikes are insane.
Yeah.
Way more horsepower, suspension's better. So obviously you're going to be going faster, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone always says that. They compare me to my younger days. And I'm nowhere near what I used to be. Not even close. And so but yeah, it's just the bikes are so good.
Yeah. Cue up the Toby Keith, right?
I mean, I don't know if anybody would be. You can't be really disappointed making a main, at 40 years old, where you win your first race, which I don't know how old you were,
25, I think.
Oh,
24.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty cool. So that's awesome. I like to get the perspective from you guys. And again, I'm sure that 250 Yamaha you rode this year, as a privateer bike, was probably night and day better than your factory connection Honda, which was a factory bike back then, but that's just how much we've grown in the sport.
Oh yeah, I think my bike had probably 10 more horsepower than last time I raced.
Dude,
8 to 10, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild.
And that's a lot. That's a lot of horsepower.
It is.
You still have one of the factory connection 125s, don't you?
250.
Oh, you have a 250?
252 stroke. Yeah, I was supposed to race 250 class, and then I ended up rolling my ankle and not being able to race. I did it in practice at, I think, St. Louis. And so it was in my contract that they gave me a bike, and it was either a 250F or a 252 stroke, and they gave me the 252 stroke.
I think we need to dust that thing off, polish it up, and head out to Cahuilla one day and film that.
Hey, that bike is good. It's got Supercross suspension on it still. I need to put some outdoor stuff, but it's a full pro circuit motor. The thing is a rocket ship. It's fun to ride.
We got some connections over at Factory Connection still. We can make that happen.
We can get it changed out. Is that 05 or an 06?
It's an 06.
06, yeah. I remember seeing, like, the Trans World maybe, or whatever it was with the 252 stroke that you had. So yeah, that's awesome.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah,
we
it's
need to
fun,
dust
but-
that thing off, Billy, and make that happen. We'll wait till the fall when it's not 9 million degrees, but
Yeah.
Oh,
I
it's
think we
been
need
hot.
to. I think we need to do a little something.
Wait till after the rain when the track's good. That'll
Yeah,
be fun.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't-
I'm gonna be pestering you come October.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I don't know how you're sitting outside right now because where I'm at, it's 103. So I'm inside.
It's actually not bad
That's
right
because
now.
you live in the butthole of California, dude.
It's all I can afford, Jeff. Shh.
I was in one of the armpits of California today in Beaumont. and
Okay.
it
Yeah.
was scorching hot. So
It's
hot.
hot. It's hot in Irvine, dude. It's 100 degrees out. I'm sweating like a, you know what, in church right now in my garage. It's warm.
A little bit more on the 250 class. So Julian Beaumaire, we saw, he was pretty much lights out on the track last weekend at Southwick, which was good to see. He ended up with a concussion, but it looked a lot worse in the beginning. So glad to see he's okay. Obviously, head injuries are no joke, but he's out this weekend. A couple more notes I had, then I'll let you guys jump in. Is I feel like we need to see a little bit more from some of these Star Yamaha rookies. I guess Romano's not a rookie, but he was injured last year. But Benek and Romano have kind of been invincible. Romano's been up front off the start, but he fades back. He ends up, in that 15 to 20 position. And I know his contract's up at Star. We'll see what ends up happening to him. And then Daxon Benek, last year, he got a top 10 here in his rookie season. I think it might have been his first or second pro race outdoors. So I think we need to see more from them. And then the other thing I'm looking forward to is to seeing what happens with the Club MX boys. Jett Reynolds, Spark Finis, they had solid first motos last weekend. Jett ended up 12th the first moto, and Mark ended up 14th. And then, we saw that after that restart, they couldn't get their bikes fired. And, it's cool that they released that press release and said, they took ownership of it. They had fans on the radiators that ended up draining the battery, that they couldn't get the bike to start. They didn't think it was going to draw that much power off the battery while they're sitting there on the red flag. And yeah, those bikes didn't start. So, but for those guys, good results at Southwick first moto. Unfortunately, they didn't do second moto, but I'll be happy to see what they do this weekend.
Yeah, dude, it's so tough. I mean, one of the biggest difference from when I raced was how deep the field is. Like we would have maybe 7 guys, top guys that were really, really fast. Now you got 15 guys,
20
guys.
Yeah, you look.
I mean,
top
and
20,
right
yeah.
now in outdoors, you got 20 factory guys probably.
You do, yeah.
It's deep, and starts are so important. And if these guys aren't able to get a start, it's hard to come through the pack if you're not 5 seconds a lap faster like Stewart was back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not moving up very quick.
No.
Yeah, it's gonna get like, if you look at Formula One, those guys get a fifth. They act like these guys do when they win, right? They're just absolutely stoked. I mean, the field's gonna go so deep, and the Verstappens of F1 are just gonna wax everybody, in the Lewis Hamiltons. But the other guys, they're fighting for those seconds, thirds, fourths, fifths. I mean, the field's so deep and stacked that they're I think that's kind of what you're going to see moving forward along in the sport, especially with Ducati coming in. Now, there's some weird rumors about what's going on with the Austrian teams with Gas and Husky. I know we're going to lose Husky in Europe and the MXGPs next year.
Wow.
Do we lose some seats in America too? What's going on? I think they're doing some restructuring over there at Pierre Mobility, but I really, really hope that we can retain the seats and, have a ton of factory rides. It's just more room, more opportunity for more guys,
Yeah, I think, and same rumors. I think it sounds like the Gas and Husqvarna team's going to kind of merge under the in-house, and they're going to keep their signed riders and not fill any spots that are vacating. So less rides there, but that's what makes it fun to see, like Beta, Triumph, Ducati come in where there's more seats, where sometimes you have these guys that deserve a ride, but there's just not enough. There's more bodies than seats, right? And then if you look at the class, the top 20, like Billy said, I mean, those guys are fast, and they're all either on a factory supported team or a B level team, but they're still on good equipment. And You can't really bat. I mean, when someone finishes 11th, everybody's like, "Oh, 11th," but I'm like, man, dude. I mean, I wouldn't bat an eye at it 11th or 10th or
Well,
10th.
11th best in the world that day.
Yeah, it's funny how we lose perspective of that because if you're not on the podium, it's like, oh, he got 8th, but it's like these guys are good.
They are. But the unfortunate thing is 10th place isn't good.
Yeah.
When you're at that level, you're on a factory team. Those guys want you to win or at
Mm.
least on the podium.
Yeah.
That's just how cutthroat it is.
What's the old saying? Screw second.
It's still amazing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
You're right? Top
Yeah.
10 in the world that day.
God,
But
our sport's
doesn't really mean nothing. Doesn't mean anything at all, really.
Our sport's so weird like that. It's wild.
It's tough.
Yeah.
But look, I had a really bitter taste in my mouth about how cutthroat it was. But once I got out of the sport and got a real job, any job's the same way. If you're not working hard, putting the effort in and making the boss money, he's going to get rid of you and get someone else, right?
Exactly.
So same thing. Like all these teams have sponsors and they want to be up front. Got to make the sponsors happy.
Yep. Agreed.
Yep.
Anybody that you guys think what you want to see more of or you think will stand out at Redbud 250 or 450 class, we'll kind of open it up.
I like to see Anderson get up there.
Mm-hmm.
He's been close and stuff, but I think maybe with Jett might get a little bit more confidence and maybe pick off a win here and there.
I just want to see Jett Reynolds race the second moto.
Hey, I actually so speaking of Club MX, I watched their Behind the Gate YouTube series, which is awesome. If you haven't had a chance, check it out. And it's cool to see how it's crazy how bummed the team was. Obviously, they couldn't race the second moto, but seeing Jett and those guys like telling them it's okay, like stuff happens. So it was just cool to see because they obviously had 2 really good first motos, couldn't back it up second moto. I was kind of wondering, I was going to shoot Jett a text and ask him if he was just happy he wasn't racing second moto. He was just happy the bike wasn't working because I'm sure he was smoked from that first moto. So
what had happened? Did he have bike problems?
Yeah, after that red start, their bikes wouldn't fire. Like I said, with that fan on the radiator, it drew too much battery, and they just wouldn't fire. So both him and Mark didn't even start the second moto. And then the 450 class, Garrett ran out of gas right before the finish line. So it was a
Garrett ran out of gas.
Yeah, so the first moto he ran out of gas right after that. Basically, the right hander before the finish line after that tabletop, he ran out of gas right there.
Oh no!
Crap.
Hey, he got 15th because they lapped up to 15th.
They lapped up.
Yeah, but
you're not pushing that bike 5 feet unless it's downhill at that place.
No,
and even then
it's deep sand.
Yeah, for sure.
No, I talked to Mike and Jett was in a real good headspace, even though they didn't make that second moto. He was stoked on how he rode. I mean, to get a 15th overall and not even race the second moto, that's pretty fantastic. I think that's his best finish of the year. Yeah, he only rode 1 moto. So
and we're getting to a track that he was good. So even last year when he was on that abbreviated schedule with PC, he got a 10th in a moto at Redbud, and he went down off the start that second moto.
Is that the one when he clobbered the KTM banner?
I don't know. Yeah.
Or was that Hammer Car? I don't know. There was
he went down a lot. He went down a lot last year. Oh, that was Hangtown. Yeah.
There was some PC on KTM signage destruction last year, and man, I was like, man, what's your guys' problem? I'll give Seth a hard time and Jett a hard time about that.
A couple more notes. So Dean Wilson's back this weekend. He's going to race a few more nationals. He wants some more points for SMX, which is cool. We'll see Dino probably running around that 8 to 12. He'll be in there with those guys. I think it's cool to see Dino back. He always, the outdoors isn't good on his knees, so they don't look very good. But he's out there. Yeah, the tube. A couple other things is so Eli looks like Star Yamaha made a press release. Looks like Eli's going to come back at Budds Creek, and they're shooting for Cooper Webb to be back at Unadilla. So we lose Jett. Obviously, the championship's still looking like it's between Hunter and Chase. Never know with those other guys, but we'll have some other guys back in the mix that maybe can help with the points a little bit. So that'll be fun to watch as we get farther along the series. So, I want to end with you guys. Who do you have to win 250, 450 class this weekend at Redbud?
250. The tough track. I'd have to say I'll go with Deegan, and then Sexton.
Safe
Yeah,
picks.
those
I
are my
like
two
that.
picks.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that. What about you, Jeff?
Same.
You can't do this, same dude.
Yeah, sorry, man. I'm riding you nuts, Billy.
I'm gonna go Deegan 250. I'm gonna change it up. I'm gonna say Hunter 450, just to But yeah,
You
I
need
mean,
And
to do
nothing
it.
against Hunter. I
No, for
love the
sure.
one
Yeah,
No,
show.
no,
Hunter's great. I
It's so good for our
think
sport.
Chase is gonna do it.
yeah.
Yeah.
What
I
is
think
Bet
Chase is-
Online AG? What are the picks?
Yeah, so they changed that. Actually, they're updating it because Jett went out, so I didn't have any updated news on that. So I think they're making changes to,
Oh
because
yeah,
again,
didn't even think about that. That probably screwed up their whole thing.
yeah, guaranteed. So so if you guys want to check it out this weekend, check out betonline.ag. They're gonna have spreads in the 250, 450 class where you can bet head to head, overalls. Basically, I like the head to head. It depends on what they put together. But like last weekend was Ferrandis versus Barsha, which was a cool one. Kind of random, but you don't really. It's cool about it is you get thinking about guys that maybe aren't at the very front, but you could still, pay attention to them in the race results. So that's all I have. Before we end, I know Jeff wanted to talk to Billy a little bit about what's going on next year, maybe 2025.
Yeah, Billy, what do you what fans want to know? Are you just gonna be still coaching, or we maybe see you out there Supercross 25? Well,
Man, I don't know.
I'm just
I
trying to
just
pick
started
your
riding
brain.
again. I just
Yeah.
started riding again. If I can keep building my fitness and stay healthy through the summer, I'm thinking about it, but it's so gnarly out there. It's a young man's sport, and it's tough. It's no joke. That start, the first couple laps of a Supercross, it's definitely nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And
So
you would turn 42 this year in Supercross, right?
yeah, February 42.
Wow.
Hey, what do you
Yep.
think of that dude at Southwick who was 52 years old and qualified on the bubble? He missed it by a
Dude.
spot.
Dude.
52 years
was
old.
that?
Yeah,
I was
that's
hoping he would make it.
Me too.
Uh-huh.
God.
I was messaging Billy going, "Hey, Billy, what up, dude? Get out here."
Dude.
I don't think so.
He was close. He was in the B practice, so it was obviously, smooth, but I mean, that's no joke. He was close. He was close.
Yeah.
All the Southwest locals, I was telling them, I was messaging Billy, giving him a hard time, and they're all, "Dude, Supercross is a whole different ball of
Yeah.
wax than coming out of 52 in Southwick." I go, "Yeah, that's true." But
Yeah.
And that track, the locals there are so good at it.
Oh yeah.
The
Yeah.
first time I went to Southwick, we ended up testing. We went out there a couple weeks early, and there was a race that weekend, and they said, "You want to race?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll race." And they're like, "Don't be surprised if you get 10th at a local race." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, right." Man, I got my butt whooped, and I got 10th place
Oh shit.
at that local race at Southwick. Yeah.
Yeah.
and they
But-
let you know, didn't they? They
Yeah,
let,
yeah.
they let you know. Yeah,
Yeah.
those NESC guys, dude, I like them because they're like, "You're in our house, dog."
Mhm.
You
Uh-huh.
know?
Yeah, you
The,
think
the old lady
different
at the
ball
gas
game.
station will let you know that you lost. You know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it was no
Mhm.
joke. Those guys go so fast there. I've never ridden anything like it, sand
Yeah.
track like that. So luckily we got a couple days of testing in there, and I think I was able to go get a top 10 at the national. But man, if I didn't get that time on the track before, I probably wouldn't even qualify.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad.
Yeah, that's
I
wild.
put up a. Oh, go ahead, Brandon. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say it. That's wild because if you think about even AC on the broadcast last weekend was saying Southwick is the only place where you look behind you and you see a number on a bike and you don't know who he is and he's coming after you. So
Yep. Yeah.
Oh,
So I
dude,
thought that guy had a chance to make it
Yeah.
at 52 years old. He was really close.
Yeah, that was
I put a video up on Instagram of this 3-digit looked like a pack of melted Starburst. I forget his name, but Ashton or something like that. But he came in one of those sweeping berms and just stuffs
Savachi. Oh yeah, yeah. I saw
Savachi's
that
not
one.
the right guy to do that to you. He'll give it back to you. Savachi didn't even. Savachi was like, yeah, it's like, you just F
Yeah.
around and find out, dude. I don't think Savachi wanted to play that game because if you mess with one local, you're probably going to get all of them stuffing you in the
Yeah.
corner, So
Yeah.
it was kind of funny to see the locals just let them know that it don't matter. You're in our house. And I like that. I'm here for it, dude. Like when Deegan's chirping, I like that crap,
Mhm.
and it just stirs the pot and it levels up everything a little bit more.
Hey, it just shows. I think those guys, Star Yamaha went out and did some testing, right? A couple
Yep.
weeks before the race.
Yep.
So it shows how much it helps. And I know that I think Deegan kind of struggled there last year, maybe.
Yep.
He wasn't the best. And
Mhm.
get out there, get a little bit of time, get comfortable, get your suspension dialed in, and it makes a world of difference. And it showed.
Yeah. And that was, and again, you think about back in the day, teams did that a lot more. And you saw he was there with Anstey and Benek and maybe another guy. But yeah, because we saw he went last year, he wasn't the most comfortable there. Again, he was a rookie, but he put in the work. And yeah, I mean, it showed because again, he went 1-2 and it was no big deal. So yeah, looking forward to this weekend. That's all we have for Sight Lap for round number 6 at Redbud. We'll check you guys out on Sunday for Riders Meeting.